I got my screen. I got my monitor behind me, so I can see what is going on. So, and I think we are live. I hope because I don't see the my YouTube feed here. But hello and welcome back. If you are joining us for the first time, we have a special guest, special treat for you guys. We are talking to Roaster Cat. Actually, you wear so many different hats. Okay, so you're a roaster, and also you are managing director at the Coffee Magazine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What's the Coffee Zine?
Coffee People Zine. Yeah. So I'm the
Coffee.
founder and executive editor.
Okay.
There's not really a managing director because I'm
Okay.
a team of one. So yeah, founder and editor of Coffee People Zine. Roast at Black and White Coffee Roasters, but also
Okay.
I'm on their content team, doing social media and video and promotion marketing stuff for them. And I do travel, consulting, Roaster Cat on Instagram.
Okay. What else? And YouTube.
What
Let's
else?
not forget the YouTube as well.
That is true. I have a YouTube
YouTube
also called
channel,
Roaster Cat. Yeah.
Roaster
Uh,
Cat.
which
By the
is
way, I mean, so the reason why I have Kat on this afternoon, I'd love to ask her about the coffee processing. Okay, you made a wonderful video on coffee processing here. Hold on, let me show you guys. Let me flip the camera for a second, and then so this is a roaster cat. This is coffee processing video. It's a citric process washed coffee.
yeah.
Fascinating.
Recap of what I learned. Yeah, so I
Okay.
did. I attended this workshop with Lucia Solis, who's an absolutely brilliant coffee processing specialist. She comes from the
Okay.
wine world, but now does coffee processing. And I attended her workshop in January of 2023 and took a lot of video and
Mhm.
finally got around to editing
Oh,
it.
wait a
And
minute. So there's 2023.
yeah.
Okay, so I thought, okay, that's the last year video. But hey,
Well, I just uploaded the videos like
okay,
a couple like last month.
okay,
But it was about a year after I attended the class that I actually kind of had the idea because I took a lot of video during that time and I was thinking about doing a series of videos going day by day, but
uh-huh.
then I was just thinking about coffee processing and I've been learning a lot more about coffee processing over the last year. And I thought it would be most useful and most interesting to do three different videos that showcase the processing that I learned at that boot camp. So yeah, I have three videos that I just released that each detail a different processing method that are very similar,
Okay,
but yeah, different processing method that I learned at that boot camp.
okay. So, Kat, can you tell me difference between washed coffee, natural, and fermentation?
Yes.
Go.
So fermentation happens for most washed coffees and natural coffees in
Okay.
general. So fermentation is not something different than
Oh.
washed or natural. The difference between a natural and a washed coffee is when you pick the coffee cherry from the tree, if you keep it intact and you dry it like that, that is a naturally processed coffee. If you squeeze the cherry out and you wash the mucilage, which is kind of like the
Mm.
fruit of the cherry, off, and you dry it like that, that's a washed coffee. So that's the difference between natural and a washed. But yeah, fermentation is like a naturally occurring process that happens when yeast and bacteria consume sugar. So it happens in pretty much all coffee processing, unless you pick the coffee cherry, you like use a bunch of machinery to
Mhm.
basically break down the sugar, the mucilage layer really quickly. But that's very expensive, and most producers don't have those resources.
Okay. By the way, so I know you are working black and white. You
Yeah.
interesting process coffee. So where that fit into wash and natural?
Yeah. So I work at Black and White. We have a lot of interesting and unique processing methods that are being
Uh-huh.
developed by farmers like as we speak. So it's really interesting because there are so many different methods that are being created at all, like currently right now. We're like in the history of it. So when fermentation happens, is again there's a coffee tree, and the pickers will pick the coffee cherry off of it, and at that moment is when the fermentation can start. So some so you can have like an extended fermentation natural or an extended fermentation washed. So what a lot of producers are doing now is they're controlling how that fermentation happens, because in the world or like all around us there are yeasts and bacterias, and they're going to start the chemical breakdown of sugars, the fermentation, whether we want them to or not. That's why your bananas go bad. That's
Mhm.
why that's why food spoils. um, but so what producers are doing now is they're getting a lot more detailed about how that fermentation happens. So what happened in the video that you just showed
Mhm.
is that there's a particular yeast, like a packaged yeast, and they use this a lot in wine. They use it a lot in beer, and basically using a particular yeast rather than the yeast in the world around you um, gives you control over what the flavors will be and how the fermentation will happen. So yeah, that's it. We're waking up the yeast right
Yep.
there. So
And
yeah, and
you are, I mean, so this particular process, you add orange juice.
yeah, that one we add orange juice. And the reason we add orange juice is actually to minimize the fermentation. And this is adding the orange juice. The orange juice, and it's a juice from a citrus fruit called limon mandarina, which is a Colombian citrus fruit that's super, super high acidic. So the acid in that juice actually breaks down the sugars in the coffee layer. So the videos that I am showing here are very, very different from the coffees that Black and White often buys. The In the videos, we're showing fermentation methods basically to get to the green coffee as quickly as we can without impacting the flavor. At Black and White, a lot of our coffees have special fermentations in order to add flavors to the coffee. So, and yeah, so they're kind of like two different ways to do it. So yeah, I guess another way to put it is a coffee coffee needs to be dried. And so what happens between when it gets picked and when it's dried sets the stage for what flavors will be available. But you have there are a couple different layers of like coffee fruit, of things that are on the cherry that you have to get off. So one way to do that is by adding yeast, because that yeast eats up those sugars, and then you can dry the coffee. One way is by adding the orange juice, because the acid dissolves those sugars, and then you can dry it. And then the third one that I put in there, we added salt actually to the fermentation. And what that does is it creates an environment where lactobacillus can thrive, because not a lot of bacteria and yeast can live in a super, super high salt environment. So then lactobacillus, the bacteria, is the driver of the eating up all of the sugars, and then we can dry it. So
Okay,
yeah.
so in a nutshell, so wash coffee is you take the peel out.
Yep.
Natural is intact, the skin, and the fermentation is happening either way.
Hmm.
And this special anaerobic process, or different fermentation, add some kind of flavor. I know you guys did peach as well, maybe some strawberry. When do you add it? Those organic materials.
Different producers will do it at different times, and I have never seen co-fermentation in person, so I
Ah,
can't super speak to it. And I'll also say that like at Black and White, we feature these coffees, but we aren't the ones like implementing the processes. The producers are doing that. But it depends on the producer. They all kind of do it in different ways, and some will do fruit juices to change the flavor, like not the not the citrus
Yep.
juice that I showed in the video, but they'll add like mango nectar
Hmm.
to it. Let's say somebody's making a mango co-fermented coffee.
Hmm.
So some producers will add mango nectar, the like juice. Some producers will take whole mangoes, slice them up, and put them in there. And other producers will use dehydrated mango dust and put that in the thing. So it's each producer, each farm, each each operation kind of has their own way of doing it that works for them. And so when you put it in is you can do I think most of our co-fermentations are happening with washed processed coffees.
Okay.
After you pick the coffee, you squeeze
Yep.
the seed out, and then you put the stuff together and let it sit for 24,
Hours.
48,
Yep.
96, however, 200 hours, so that the flavors kind of intermingle. Some people will do it with a washed coffee. Some people will do it with a natural coffee. But what I've heard is that if you add flavoring to a natural coffee, it still has the outer protective layer of the skin on there, so the fruit flavors don't penetrate as well, and the coffee won't end up tasting as much like mango. So most co-fermented coffees will be washed in some way.
Interesting, isn't it? That is
Hmm.
fascinating. I didn't know that. See,
Yeah.
you know what? I learn something new every single day. Okay. I
Yeah.
learned because if you're just joining us, we are talking to Roaster Cat, talking about coffee processing. And this is, I mean, actually, I'm very fascinating about because I've been really getting into co-ferment coffees lately. Okay,
Hmm.
I just had a black and white peach. I loved it, and also I've been trying some strawberry as well. And mango, I have not tried it yet. So is
I
it
don't
like
think we've had it at Black and White. I don't
yeah,
think we've released a mango
yeah,
processed coffee. I think maybe Brandywine has one.
okay.
Um, yeah.
Is it like new
Yeah,
trending on specialty coffee
for
nowadays?
sure. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Within the past, I mean, there may have been producers doing it in years past, and I've heard from some producers that
Yeah,
they have been doing it in the past, but it is a for sure a new trend and a new thing that people are really really excited about and really like promoting. It used to be that if they added something to their flavor, if farmers added something to their coffee to impact the flavor, they often wouldn't talk about it
yep.
because specialty coffee said that's not specialty coffee. We don't want anything added to it. We don't want anything, we don't want to change the flavor of the coffee. But yeah, there's a new I don't know fascination
Sure.
about what can be possible in coffee flavor, because technically we aren't injecting anything into the coffee. It's not like when you go to some old coffee places and there's like hazelnut coffee. Oh, excuse me. Um, there's like hazelnut coffee where they take the coffee and they like douse it in oil, like hazelnut oil or peanut, like whatever, uh, and it's disgusting. So this is not that, but it has kind of had. There's been like some hesitance for the specialty industry to get into the co-ferments. But yeah, there it's definitely a new trend within the past. Definitely within the past 2 year, I would say maybe at least seeing from the inside of Black and White, where they're kind of driving this this road
I know
forward.
this new tree.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, or at least they're waving the flag. I don't know if Kyle will say, Kyle, the owner of Black and White, will say that we aren't doing it ourselves, but we're promoting it because the farmers are doing it. They're the ones who are really really driving this train. Um, but yeah, I think at Black and White we've really been focusing in and getting more of these for the past 2 years, and I've seen it more and more elsewhere in the last year. So it's really interesting, it's really exciting. There are still some people who are absolutely against it because they're like, I don't want anything added to my coffee. Coffee should taste like like the beans themselves and only the beans themselves. But there are a lot of ways that I think that's
Hmm.
an and a, a closed-minded approach, um, and especially as what I've heard some farmers talk about, some producers, is that especially as climate change impacts where coffee can be grown,
Hmm.
what varieties of coffee
Yep.
can be grown. Like coffee is changing regardless of like what we want because of the impacts of climate change. And so adding fruit juice to fermentations can be a way to make coffee that otherwise might score lower. And for producers, if they have a coffee that scores low, they can't sell it for a price that even breaks even for them. So if this is a tool to help them elevate their coffee flavor, they can sell it at a higher price point. They can improve their farms. They can pay for they can pay their workers. They can pay their bills. Um, and I think it tastes really good. Like, why would we stop something that tastes really good to some people? That's my opinion.
If you guys just joining us, we are talking to Roaster Cat on YouTube and Instagram. Just make sure check out her channel and Instagram page as well. We have about 135 or 55, 130. I don't know. It's over 100 people watching.
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
133 on my screen. Hello,
yeah,
everyone.
that's great.
Let,
Okay, I think that's most ever. Okay,
that's awesome. Well,
it's
yeah,
nice
if
to have
anybody
some
has
guests though.
questions, put your questions in the comments if you have any. Oh, there's one. Is your coffee available in Europe? Black and white coffee is available for order in Europe. I don't think we have any wholesale accounts over there. You can order it through the website. It's blackwhiteroasters.com. Shipping is very expensive
Sure.
to Europe, but if you can get some friends to go in on it with you, make it less expensive. We do ship to Europe. Yeah.
Okay. By the way, so when do you decide about the scoring deck coffee? When did it happen in process?
So I am not a coffee scorer. In
Okay.
order to score coffee, you have to take a course and pass a
Yep.
test to become an official Q grader, is
Good
what
writer.
we
Yeah.
call it. And there are actually a couple of different places along the process when a coffee will be scored. Um, and again, I haven't done this myself, so I don't 100% know all of the points where coffee gets scored, but I can give a little bit of
Yeah.
an overview. So after a coffee is like picked and processed, and it it gets to like a drying, the basically humidity level when it gets dried. Somebody at the farm will often, it also depends on, small producers are different than big producers, but usually at that point, especially for a bigger producer, someone will taste the coffee, will sample roast and taste the coffee to kind of see what the overall structure or what the overall score might be for a coffee. Um, and they can promote it as such. Uh, for specialty coffee, it has to be, there's a 100-point scale. It has to be 80 points and above to be considered specialty grade coffee. Um, so yeah, somebody tastes it when it's dry, and they can try and somebody at the farm, then they can send it out to people who might want to buy it, to roasters who might want to buy it. And if those roasters have a Q grader on staff, they will also take that time to sample it and grade it at that point to see if their
Oh,
scores match up.
hold
Uh,
on. So you're gonna score at green bean level?
yeah.
Oh.
And actually, a Q score really should ever only be at green bean level. Nobody who is roasting coffee should be selling their coffee with the point score,
I know.
because
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
the
so how do you taste that green beans? I mean, they're pretty nasty, aren't they?
yeah, they sample roast them first.
Okay.
So they'll roast maybe 100 grams of the coffee and then cup it like that. The In order to score the coffee, you do a cupping. But yeah, they won't brew the green coffee itself, they'll sample roast a little bit and then score that when most of the rest of the batch is still in green coffee.
Okay, so you can be okay. You can be biased, right? Let's say if your farmer has a key grade on site, you're going to grade it. Obviously, you're going to be more favorable.
Right. And
That's interesting.
this is where it gets
Hmm.
a little bit dicey, or people can have differing opinions, because the purpose of having somebody who has a Q grade
Hmm.
certification is that they should not be biased, whether they work for the farm or whether they work for the roaster. The
Correct.
point is that they're all calibrated to the same level, so they shouldn't be impacting their score based on if they're buying or selling. However, all humans have biases,
I
and
know.
all humans have prerogatives. So, uh, a farmer wants their score to be higher so they can sell it for more money. A roaster wants the score to be lower so that they can buy it for less money. So that's where the Q is supposed to, having a Q grader certificate is supposed to get rid of that bias so that anybody tasting the coffee will give it the same score. Again, I'm not a Q grader, so I can't speak to it. But I mean, it works well enough for now that that's how the specialty industry operates. And there are more and more and more people becoming Q graders at all times, like more than ever. But yeah, there's definitely, and this is where a lot of people who are kind of advocating for farmers' rights and advocating for uh, like more transparency are really focusing on this aspect of the specialty industry, saying that like, yeah, everybody should be sharing what they score a coffee
Sure.
so that farmers and roasters are agreeing on what that quality is so that everybody is like fair across the board.
Okay, so by the way, so I know you've been visiting a lot of farmers and throughout the world. What is the day of life of farmer? Do you know what time they get up in the morning? Do you know what's their routine like?
Early, early, early.
Okay.
And it depends. I mean, there are many, just like in the US, there are many different kind of levels of farms. So there
Mhm.
are some people, I'll say, who, have a small farm and they might sell their food at the farmer's market. There
Okay.
are some farmers who have huge, huge places. They might have like tens, hundreds of
Mhm.
employees and a lot of machinery, and they sell their food to, I don't know, Walmart or,
Yeah.
whoever. Um, so there are a lot of different levels of coffee farmers, but I'll say for the people that I stayed with, um, I'll say specifically Costa Rica, because I
Okay.
visited
Hmm.
4 different farmers in Costa Rica. The day often starts early, like
Sure.
5 o'clock in the
Okay.
morning, if not earlier. And also, I was there right before harvest, so things are
Okay.
a little bit different during harvest and after, because it's a season. There's a growing
Yeah.
season, there's a harvesting season, and then there's like a taking care of the farm season.
Hmm.
But when I was there, they woke up at like 5 o'clock in order to eat, like have coffee, have a big breakfast, and maybe go take a tour of their farm or walk a certain area where they've maybe the soil was like eroding, and so
Okay.
then they go check on that. They go check the different plots of their land to see how the coffee cherries were coming along, because coffee ripens on the tree at different well, should be at the same time every year, but the last couple of years, because of climate change, coffee
Hmm.
has been, the temperature is hotter earlier in the year, and so they're kind of losing. The coffee is getting ready earlier, so they'll go into their farm to check on the trees, see how everything is ripening, um, and then what else? A lot of times they'll maybe go into town to buy fertilizer or buy tools or equipment that they need. Work on the drying beds to make sure everything's ready for when harvest is. And again, this is like I was there right before harvest in Costa Rica. Um, Lunchtime, they'll have a big lunch. Um, and then in the afternoon, especially with two of the farmers that I was visiting, they would do a cupping of either
Mhm.
coffee that they had left over from last year in order to taste how it's continuing to hold up, or if they have some very small lots from super early ripening coffees, they'll taste that to see how their coffee is looking this year. So a lot of coffee, a lot of walking around their land a lot outside. Um, I mean, and some farmers too. Honestly, some farmers have other jobs. I was with one farmer who his actual job is as a he's like a plant nutritionist or like a what's it called, agronomist. That's the word.
Okay.
So for him, a day is driving around to other people's farms in order to assess their soil quality, how their trees are growing, how the coffee cherries are coming up, um, and give recommendations on how to make sure that their coffee is growing the best that it can. And then he comes home at the end of the day, has a dinner, and then goes and tends to his farm, and then goes, sits down and talks. They'll talk with their. A lot of coffee farmers have families, so they'll talk with their families, catch up, and then go to bed at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then get right back up the next day.
Hey, by the way, so do you have your favorite farm in South America?
I don't have a favorite farm.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't been to that many really.
Okay.
I've been to four in Costa Rica, two in three in Colombia,
Okay.
one maybe a couple in Brazil. I don't know.
I mean, that's quite a bit. That's quite a
I'm
bit.
well traveled, but there are so many more that I haven't been to.
So, have you ever been to Diego, Bermudez?
No, but I really want to go.
Okay, that's, I mean, if your people are just joining us, we are talking to Roaster Cat. Diego Bermudez, I mean, it seems like it's most sought after green beans throughout the world right now.
Yes, yes.
I mean, how much you know about Diego, his farm?
Um, about his farm.
Yeah.
I don't know a ton
Okay.
about it. I know that he is one of a few people who's using really high tech precision instruments
Okay.
to really dial in his coffee, and doing a lot of experimentations with carbonic maceration,
Yep.
different strains of yeasts combined with different varieties of coffee because they interact differently, using stainless steel tanks and pressurized tanks to rest coffee, using thermal shock, like raising and lowering the temperatures of the coffee to really get things through, or like get different flavors through to develop. I don't know
Oh,
much about his
okay.
farm though.
But he's known for his processing then.
Yeah.
Very high tech processing. Is
Yes.
that trade secret, isn't it? I mean, he doesn't, obviously he does not going to share with anyone else.
He is not very open about all of his processing.
Okay. Sure. Yes, sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and he's spent a lot of time, and a lot of effort developing all of the profiles that he has, and so yeah, fair to him. I think this is the for me this is the like other side of the coin when people call for transparency in coffee, is that also producers should be able to
Uh,
keep their intellectual property and not have to
Absolutely.
say
Yes.
exactly what they do.
Sure.
Yeah, that's and yeah, definitely Diego is one of those who is very precise with his stuff.
Okay, so okay, so is there anyone besides Diego close to, I mean, the things his level? Is there anyone else?
Wilton Benitez is
Okay,
another
Wilton Bennett. Okay.
who's doing that. Nestor Lasso as
Okay.
well. Um, there are a handful of folks in, and I'm really bad with names, but
Okay.
those three come to top of mind in terms of the like very fine precision
Okay.
control over their coffee stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I know some of you are watching right now. I mean, you guys wonder what we are talking about here, but we are talking about processing. So this is okay. So most people drink medium to dark roast. Okay, but we are talking about is a specialty coffee that you don't use any milk or sugar. Actually, sometimes one of those processing coffee with a little bit of milk to bring out the incredible flavor. Hold on a second. Can you hear me? Hold on a second here. I think I lost your sound. No, what we lost your sound. Hold on a second here. I think I lost your sound. We lost your sound, so I think I lost your sound. Okay, so we are doing the sound check. We lost the cat sound, so hopefully. Okay, no worries. If you're just joining us, we are talking to Roaster Cat. She is a YouTuber herself, and also she has Instagram page as well. And then we are having some
Can you hear me now?
sound. Yes, perfect.
Okay, great.
Good.
My phone was dying, so I think it
Okay,
just cut off.
that's all right. By the way, the Dogman22 say Wilton is Diego's neighbor.
They are neighbors, and as I hear, mortal enemies.
Hold on a second. Hold on. So now it's my turn. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
I know. Hold on a second. Sometimes, so this is my phone, and someone calls me on this phone. I just cut.
Oh.
I gotta refresh my page. Hold on. Okay, keep going. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Meantime, why don't you hold on a second here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. This is bizarre. I'm in the dark right
Technology.
now. Yeah. Okay.
Technology.
But I mean, at least you can hear me. That's good.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So go back to you said Wilton is Diego's neighbor.
Yes.
Kat, do you have your favorite European roaster?
Oh, favorite European roaster. Nomad in Spain comes to mind.
Okay.
I got to travel with Fran, who's one of the owners, and Yvette, who works there, and they're just absolutely wonderful, beautiful, great people.
Okay.
And also their coffee is really great. We just had a pink bourbon of theirs at like somebody sent it, or somebody, I think one of my coworkers bought it at a shop somewhere, and yeah, they do really great coffee and they're great people. So I would say Nomad.
So Nomad is pretty good. So
I
by
think
the so
so.
what? Okay. So what is your? So I know you're going to be at Chicago.
Hmm.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
Yeah.
And then, so what is your plan for coffee? Are you staying on coffee industry for a long time, or
I
I mean,
I go back and forth. I mean, I think so. I think I I really love coffee, the coffee
mhm,
industry, because the things that I love are travel, and
yeah,
I travel to, half of the world that produces coffee and the other
yeah,
half of the world drinks coffee. So I can travel anywhere and get a some sort of coffee experience. I also love connecting with people, and you know just like in any industry, there are going to be some people that you don't get along with, but I've found in coffee there are a lot more people who are really passionate, who are really caring, who are really just like good fun people. And then I also really love learning, and with coffee, especially as I said at the beginning of this call, like coffee right now, the processing is developing as we speak. So I started in coffee as a barista, learned a lot. Then I became a roaster and I learned even more. Now I've been going to origin countries and I'm learning even more. And it's all like there's more information to know every year, every week, every day. So yeah, for me, like travel, people, and learning. And then coffee tastes good. I love things that taste good. I'm a huge glutton, and so if I can indulge in something that is really really delicious, I'm happy. So yeah, I plan to stay in coffee for a while. My other passion is art. So if I leave coffee, I'd probably just do art. But
That's right. I totally forgot. You're an artist
yeah,
as
but
well.
there's a I feel like there's less consistent money in art than there is in coffee.
So, I mean, yeah, that's right. So, hold on a second. I think.
Are you still there? Did we lose Hoon? Uh-oh. I'm your host now, everyone.
Can you hear
It's
me?
yes, I can hear you now.
Good. Okay. Man, you cannot see me, right?
No.
Okay, right now we have oh gosh, 190 people. By the way, if you have any questions right now, ask to Roaster Cat down on the live chat there as well. Okay.
Yep.
If you have any
Yep.
question about coffee processing, her favorite coffee. What is your favorite coffee, by the way? What have you been drinking lately?
I I mean, my all-time favorite coffee is just washed Ethiopian
Okay.
coffee. Um, and I feel like the more funky, weird processes there are, the more I also appreciate like a solid washed coffee. Usually because I work at Black and White and I love all the weird funky stuff we have, but usually like I'll do that at work, but when I'm making coffee for myself, these days I'm drinking washed Ethiopian, like super floral, clear, clean, like citrusy coffees. I actually need to I just uh I just moved
Okay.
and so I kind of cleaned out my coffee bar and I'm ready to restock. I have to go restock sometime. So
So,
that's my next project.
what is your brewing method lately?
Well, lately, since I moved, it's the AeroPress because I
Okay.
put all of my other brewing methods in boxes and I don't remember where they are because I haven't fully unpacked.
Yep.
So yeah, I've been doing AeroPress, but I also have you seen the Sarapada, the like ceramic brewer from Japan?
No.
Yeah, there's this like it's not quite a V60, but it's like a cone dripper
Mhm.
and it's like fibrous. So you don't need a filter at all. You just put the coffee grounds in there and you uh pour the water right on it. And it filters itself. So it doesn't need filters, but I put it in a box because it's very fragile. And I haven't taken it out yet.
By the
Oh,
way,
somebody,
Elaine
yes.
is asking you, have you tried a cup Timo?
Oh, what?
Cup Timo.
Cup Timo. I have not tried a Cup Timo.
Okay.
But Dogman22 said, I like the Danche then. Yes, 100%. This is okay. Anybody who hasn't tried black and white yet, you try it. It's great. But the Danche, it's an Ethiopian coffee. We've had their natural and their washed and honey process. Right now we have like a some wild like 5-day fermentation, but it doesn't taste super boozy. It's really, really clean, floral, beautiful coffee. I've been loving everything coming out of Danche lately. So yes,
You know,
yes,
you know what?
Dogman 22. I love the Danche.
Kat, I just bought a green beans from Scott Rivals
Yeah.
for Danche. Okay, he
Uh-huh.
was selling for $4 per pound.
Wow. All
So
right.
there was a supposedly last year harvest. So
Yeah.
he's selling his discount. So I roasted. Man, it's not the same. Okay. It's not the
Yeah, well,
same.
what are you roasting on?
I'm using it's called Kaleido,
Oh, yeah.
Sniper M2 Sniper,
Yeah.
and so let me ask you. So since you're a roaster,
Mhm.
I know a lot of beginner coffee roasters out there, and is that worth start getting into roasting at home versus just spend the money and buy coffee from professional roaster?
It depends on what you want.
Okay,
If you want really great coffee, don't learn to roast yourself.
okay, all right,
If you want really great coffee, buy coffee from really great roasters.
okay,
That's my perhaps unpopular opinion.
okay,
Um, but if what you want is a closer connection to your
yeah,
coffee, if what you want is to understand and explore coffee more than you can by just brewing roasted coffee, then yeah, get into it. Roasting is super fun and can be super frustrating because every machine is different, every bean is different, and so it's a steep learning curve, I would say. Um, so if you want really good coffee, just buy it from the people who know what they're doing. If you want to kind of go on that ride, if you have a lot of extra time and a lot of extra money
yep,
uh to basically like it to hobby, like then great. Some people ride motorcycles and it costs them a lot of time and money.
yep.
If you and that's a thrill for them. If you want your hobby to be roasting coffee, go for it. It's very fun.
By the way, are you into espresso?
Yes.
Okay,
It My relationship with espresso, I feel like, has changed over the
uh
years
huh,
of being a roaster. When I first started in coffee as a barista, loved espresso.
okay,
Oh, like drank espresso, drank like cortados. Then when I became a roaster, I stopped drinking espresso, not like full stop, but I switched to drip coffee, basically like just filter coffee all the time. And I'm finding my way back to espresso now. I think it can be really fun, especially now working at Black and White. Each day we have one of our year round, which is kind of like our staple blends on espresso and on drip. And then we have one filter coffee or one single origin coffee on drip and espresso. So it can be really fun to try the same coffee brewed on filter and brewed on espresso. And you can get a little milk in there and try it with that. So it's a fun way to, as a roaster, see the different iterations of the roasted coffee.
so Jim is asking, how long do you rest uh, coffee before cupping?
Before cup well, before cupping in this is kind of a situation of do as I say, not as I do,
Okay,
because at work we need to we cup the coffees day after roast,
okay, day
which
after.
yeah, for quality control or really for to make sure that our roast the green coffee is like staying the same as we're roasting it. But it's we've at Black and White, that's what we do all the time, and so we've kind of developed an understanding of what coffee tastes like day off roast, and then what that will mean a week or 2 weeks from now. um, but I would say for drinking coffee, wait at least, I think, 2 weeks. And the funkier the fermentation, the longer you want to wait. So I've had some really weird, wild, funky fermentation coffees that 2 weeks off roast, 3 weeks off roast are good, but then a month and a half off roast are like exceptional.
Okay. But tell me something about decaf. What's the process like in decaf? I know we hear about the Swiss water process, but obviously a processed coffee. What exactly happening?
There are a lot of different types of decaffeination processing. So it usually happens after the coffee has been fully like taken off the tree, squeezed out of the seed squeezed out, it like drying, and then they do the decaffeination. Yeah, there are different types. There's Swiss water, there's Mexican, or there's uh high mountain or mountain decaf, which is from
Yeah,
Mexico.
yes, yep. Mountain
There's
water.
yeah, there's EA or sugarcane
Yep.
decaf. There are various processes. Basically, what they do in most of the processes is they take the green coffee, they submerge it in water, either
Hmm.
with other things or some things use uh, like current, electrical current, which opens up the pores of the beans. The caffeine molecules escape into the water, then they flush it out. And so then the caffeine goes out with the water, and then they rehydrate the beans. That's like the very, very quick and overly simplified version of what
Okay.
happens.
And then do you have your favorite decaf?
Black and white's decaf is really great.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
I I also I saw somebody was looking for like a darker roasted decaf.
Yep.
Mother Tongue in California has a really really great decaf. That's Jen Apodaca, who's kind of a
Okay.
legend in coffee roasting. So yeah, check out Mother Tongue, both for caffeinated coffee, but also decaf. Um, yeah, or black and white. It's kind of funny because I don't own black and white. I'm not part of like the official leadership at black and white. Um, and so I don't make any of the purchasing decisions. I'm just very happy to work there and happy that the people who do make those purchasing decisions are doing a great job. So I feel like when I say buy black and white, it's not because I'm like patting myself on the back because I did a great job. It's because my coworkers are awesome and they've done a really great job.
Hey, by the way, for someone watching you right now, there's a lot of young coffee future professionals want to be a roaster. Is that recommended professional, or can you be? I mean, can you make money doing being a roaster? Or uh,
Um, again, it depends. It's
okay,
not a very lucrative career. No.
I know that's
Um, like I think the people that I know who make the most money as just roasters make just upwards of 40 to $45,000 a year. I'm sure that there are some folks out there who make more money than that, and a lot of people who are roasters at some point will also go on to be like head roasters or like head of warehouses or head of quality control, or perhaps they'll be green buyers and there's more money in that. But as a like working production roaster, the most I've ever made was $44,000 a year, and that was working for Allegro Coffee Roasters, which was owned by Whole Foods, so it's a big
that
company.
big. Yeah, they're huge. Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the most that I've ever made annually as a coffee roaster, full time.
So you are saying is don't be a coffee roaster if you want to make a lot of money.
If you want to make a lot of money, yeah, don't be a coffee roaster. If you want to have a like good life and have a good time and be involved in coffee roasting can be a good stepping stone. And like if maybe, some people don't need a lot of money. You can live a fine life on a coffee roaster salary. But you're never going to make like six figures as a roaster.
You know what? Because a lot of people think that being a coffee roaster is very romantic, right? And they're looking, they smell the coffee, but in reality, it's a pretty messy job, isn't it?
Oh yeah, roasteries are dusty. There's chaff everywhere, um, and for a lot of roasters too, half of your job, half of your day will start out standing by the machine doing the roasting, and then the second half of your day will be packaging coffee or packaging outgoing shipments or cleaning the roaster. Which I love to clean a roaster.
Hmm.
I'll tell you what, but yeah, it's not a glamorous job. It's definitely romanticized, but like the parts that are glamorous are 1% of your day, and the rest of it is lifting really really
Yeah.
heavy bags and being covered in dust and jute and breathing in green coffee dust and standing on a production line just sending bags through a label machine. So
Man, okay, so now you guys are here from actual coffee roasters. So that is the reality of coffee roaster for sure.
Yeah, and I've tried to be on my Instagram, on my Roaster Cat Instagram. I'm not roasting like daily anymore, but when I was, I tried to be like open and honest about that and show the like, yeah, like today half of my day is putting stickers on bags just over and over
Yep.
and over. Or like, I wear a jumpsuit in the warehouse, not because it's super fashionable, but because I don't want to get my
Mm.
clothes all full of dust and grime. But it works out because it also looks cool. So
By the way, if you're just joining us, we are talking to Roaster Cat on Instagram and YouTube. You have a lot of YouTube videos, and I cannot wait to see more of you.
I know I need
Eh,
to I need to get doing more videos. I've kind of been slow with videos, or I've released maybe 3 or 4 at a time in short chunks. But I mean, as you know, video editing is really time consuming, and I don't make money on YouTube really. I think actually I've gotten one check from YouTube, and it was $100.42. So
Yeah.
and that was from when I monetized in September through
Yep.
February. So that was like six
Wow.
6 months worth of watch time.
Make sure folks who are watching, make sure go to Roaster Cat's website. Okay, the YouTube channel. All
Yes,
right,
go find Roaster Cat on YouTube.
and
I have
I'm gonna put the link as well.
great.
Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great. Yeah, I have quite a lot of videos on there, but the more recent ones are kind of what I kind of want to do. That's more educational content. The first stuff that I started my YouTube channel in 2020 as kind of like a
Hmm.
boredom project during COVID. So a lot of my first videos are like me using James Hoffman's V60 brew method and kind of being a little bit silly, like pretending like I didn't know what I was doing. The goal was for me was to get more experience with video, like filming and editing, and to like make coffee a little bit more like accessible or a little bit less pretentious at that time because everybody was home brewing. So I was kind of like playing a character of myself that was like a little bit less precise. Like I didn't have a scale. So I'm like, I'm going to brew without a scale. It's fine. If you don't have a scale at home, it doesn't matter. You can still make really good coffee. So
I
yeah.
know because I mean, again, your videos are incredible. I really enjoy your travel videos.
Thank you.
And just make sure people are watching. Make sure check out the Roaster Cat Instagram page and YouTube channel. I'm gonna put the link as well. Hey, thank you so much. I mean, this is I cannot see you on next month, by the way. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But
Thank you for having me on. I'm so glad that we were able to find a time that worked. Yeah. Love to be on your YouTube live, and yeah, looking forward to actually hanging out in person in Chicago.
I think you are the most. Actually, you are the most visited guest on my YouTube channel. So I think you're 3 or 4 times already. So
Love it.
anyway,
Awesome.
let's see. Man, we got quite a few people watching. Again, we have 120 people watching. Make sure go check out Roaster Cat's YouTube and Instagram page. Make
Yeah.
sure to subscribe as well, and just watch her videos. All right,
Yeah. Let me know
and
what you think. If you guys want to see more processing videos, more roasting videos, more travel videos, those are all things that I'm excited about and things that I like to make videos about. So
sounds
watch
good.
watch some of those videos and let me know. And yeah, I'll see you all around.
Okay, thanks, Kat. See you
Thanks,
next
soon.
time.
See you. See
Bye
you.
bye. Bye
Bye.
bye.